All right, so have you ever felt like, you've got this magnetic pull, but also kind of want to keep people at arm's length at the same time?
Hmm.
Maybe your birthday has something to do with it.
Interesting.
We're taking a deep dive today into Adam's birthday book.
Okay.
And get this, it calls your January 24th energy the aloof icon.
All right.
Buckle up, because we're about to unpack that.
Well, this isn't your typical personality test.
Yeah.
I'll grant you that.
Right.
But even these unconventional sources, I think, can spark some insightful self-reflection.
Yeah.
Think of it as a funhouse mirror reflection on your social dynamics.
This whole aloof icon thing, it's
Yeah.
like people are drawn to you, right? They put you on a pedestal, even
Yeah.
flat, but there's this invisible barrier too. So is it intentional or is something deeper going on? What do you think, listener? Does any of this ring true for you?
It is a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
Hmm.
Adam's birthday book suggests that this cushion pull stems from others projecting their desires onto the aloof icon.
Okay.
It's almost like they become a blank canvas
Interesting.
for other people's aspirations.
The book uses this really vivid analogy saying people are drawn to them like flies. Okay, kind of gross, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
There's this magnetism, but also this potential for things to get messy.
And that mess often comes from the burden of everyone else's expectations.
Yeah, I can see that.
The book specifically mentions jealousy as a common reaction,
Wow.
which paints a clear picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine constantly feeling like you're being sized up, envied,
Oh, yeah.
or expected to be something you're not.
So is that where the aloofness comes in? Is it just straight up arrogance, or is it more like a defense mechanism?
Adam's birthday book
Yeah.
suggests it's a defense mechanism.
Okay.
It dives into this idea of vulnerability, saying January 24th individuals often hold lingering doubts whether they are as great as they are cracked up to be.
Wow.
It's almost like a fear of not living up to the hype they themselves didn't even create.
That totally makes sense.
Okay.
If you've got this constant pressure to be on, this aloof icon persona could be a way to shield yourself. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, psychology actually has a term for this reaction formation.
Right.
It's when you act opposite to how you really feel to mask those feelings.
Precisely. And in this case, the aloofness becomes a shield against the weight of those expectations.
Oh, I see.
But, as with any shield, it can also be a barrier to genuine connection.
So it's like you're trapped in this gilded cage of admiration. It makes you wonder, is it lonely at the top, so to speak?
It certainly can be.
Yeah.
When you're constantly focused on maintaining this image, this aloof icon persona,
Yeah.
you risk becoming disconnected from your authentic self
Right.
and your own needs and desires.
Okay. That's heavy. So you're saying it's not just about being admired from afar, it's about figuring out who you are amidst all of that.
Exactly. The danger lies in becoming defined by that external validation
Yeah.
rather than connecting with your internal compass.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, can lead to a profound sense of emptiness, even when surrounded by a crowd of admirers.
Wow. So we've established that this aloof icon thing, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah.
But how do you break free? You can't just decide to be less magnetic, right?
Well, Adam's birthday book does offer a glimmer of hope here.
Okay.
It suggests that it's not about changing who you are fundamentally, really, but rather
Okay.
shifting your perspective and setting some healthy boundaries.
Okay, I'm all for boundaries, but what does that look like?
Sure.
How do you set boundaries when people are drawn to you like flies?
Well, it starts with awareness,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
The book highlights the need to recognize the manipulative aspect of that constant admiration.
Right.
It's not always malicious, of course,
Yeah.
but it's about understanding that seeking validation from others can be tempting,
Right.
but it can actually hinder your personal growth.
It's like you're so focused on keeping up this image that you forget who you even are without it.
Right.
It's almost like a dependence on external validation.
Precisely. And breaking free from that dependence requires setting some firm boundaries.
Yeah, okay.
It's about learning to say no
Yeah.
to demands and expectations that don't align with your values
Yeah.
or your own needs.
Wow. For someone who's used to, people pleasing or putting others on a pedestal, that's got to be tough. How do you actually do that?
It takes practice, for sure. But even small steps can lead to big changes.
Right.
Start by identifying situations where you feel pressured to conform to others' expectations.
Okay.
Maybe it's saying yes to every social invitation or constantly needing approval for your achievements.
Right, yeah.
Once you're aware of these patterns,
Yeah.
you can start to set those gentle but firm boundaries.
I can see that,
Yeah,
like saying no to that extra project at work or taking some time for yourself instead of always being the life of the party.
right.
It's about prioritizing your own needs.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't contingent on constant external validation.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the final and perhaps most challenging step, embracing vulnerability.
Okay, vulnerability. Now we're getting deep. How does that tie into the whole aloof icon thing?
Well, remember, Adam's birthday book talked about transparency
Uh,
as a key to breaking down those false images.
right.
Vulnerability is the path to that transparency.
Right.
It's about allowing yourself to be seen, flaws and all, and trusting that genuine connection is still possible,
Yeah.
even when you're not on that pedestal.
So instead of this perfect image, you're letting people see the real you. But that's terrifying, right?
It can be, sure.
Especially if you've been hiding behind that aloof icon persona for so long.
It can be scary, absolutely, but it's also incredibly liberating. Think about it this way. When you're vulnerable, you're giving others permission to do the same. You create a space for authentic connection, not just admiration from a distance.
So it's like by letting your guard down, you're actually building stronger connections.
Yeah, it's about shifting from a transactional view of relationships to a more authentic space of mutual acceptance.
And that takes guts, right?
It does.
To step off that pedestal and say, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
But the payoff, as Adam's birthday book puts it, is that you get to shine once more, but with a true inner light which need not reflect what other people wish to see.
Yes, that's it. It's about recognizing that true radiance comes from within.
That's such a powerful image,
Yeah.
shining with your own light. You know, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to those symbolic elements from Adam's birthday book,
It-
the number 6 Venus and the Lover's Tarot card.
Interesting. They actually tie in beautifully with what we've been discussing.
Oh, okay.
The number 6, often associated with harmony and balance, right, speaks to the inherent duality of the aloof icon.
Okay.
They crave connection but struggle with vulnerability,
Hmm.
seeking admiration while fearing its implications.
It's like they're trying to find that balance,
I
letting
think so.
people in.
And Venus, the planet of love and beauty, explains the aloof icon's magnetism,
Yeah.
their ability to draw people in. But Venus is also about the shadow side of love, you see.
Ooh.
The potential for jealousy, possessiveness,
Right.
and the pressure to live up to these unrealistic ideals.
So even the planets are telling us it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
What about the Lover's card? What's that all about?
The Lover's card speaks to the choices the aloof icon faces.
Okay.
It's about choosing authenticity over external validation,
Right.
vulnerability over maintaining a facade, ultimately choosing self-love as the foundation for all other connections.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Huh?
From the allure of the aloof icon to the importance of vulnerability, what are your final thoughts today for our listeners, especially those who might be feeling that aloof icon energy in their own life?
It's simple, really. You are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. Embrace your authentic self, boundaries and all, and watch as genuine connections blossom.
Beautifully said. It's a powerful reminder that true connection starts from within. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to ponder. Can you let go of the need to be admired and instead focus on cultivating the light that shines from within? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.